What tragedies does a jewel hide that has brought down kingdoms and brought misfortune to those who possessed it? The Koh-i-Noor diamond is more than just a gem. It is a silent witness to deaths, betrayals, and unresolved mysteries. The Koh-i-Noor is much more than just a simple diamond. It is a symbol of power, ambition, and according to many, misfortune. Over more than 800 years, this jewel has been at the center of wars, conspiracies, and betrayals that have shaped the fate of entire empires. Since its discovery in India, it has passed through the hands of historical figures who experienced both its brilliance and its dark curse. This diamond was discovered in the legendary Golconda mines, located in what is now India. From the beginning, it was an object of desire and a symbol of power for kings and emperors. However, those who possessed it could not maintain their authority for long. In this way, the Koh-i-Noor's reputation as a cursed jewel, capable of changing its owner's fate overnight, began to grow. The first rulers to possess the Koh-i-Noor were the kings of the Kakatiya dynasty, a prosperous kingdom in southern India. Under their rule, the kingdom flourished, but that prosperity did not last. External invaders soon destroyed the dynasty, and the Koh-i-Noor fell into the hands of new owners. From that moment on, the jewel seems to have carried with it the curse that would affect each of its owners over the centuries. One particularly intriguing episode in the history of the Koh-i-Noor is related to the Mughal Emperor Humayun, who received the diamond after a military victory. From that moment on, he suffered consecutive defeats and was eventually exiled. His death was equally strange and sudden. He fell down a flight of stairs, an incident that some attribute to the curse of the gem. His fate was only the first of many linked to the stone. Shah Jahan, known for building the Taj Mahal, inherited the Koh-i-Noor at a time when his empire was still standing strong. However, soon, his life and power crumbled. After being betrayed by his own son, Aurangzeb, he was imprisoned for the rest of his days. It is said that Shah Jahan spent hours gazing at the Koh-i-Noor among the other jewels on his throne, unaware that his fate was sealed. His tragedy, according to some, was just further proof of the curse. Throughout its history, the Koh-i-Noor has disappeared several times. In times of conflict, its owners hid it, and during these periods, its whereabouts were completely lost. Each time it resurfaced, it often ended up in the hands of a new owner who was unaware of the misfortunes awaiting them. These periods of mystery have only fueled the legends about the hidden power of the stone. A more recent mystery surrounding the Koh-i-Noor is its possible connection to large-scale political decisions. It is rumored that its presence in the Tower of London has influenced British leaders, especially in their policies toward India. Some believe that the energy of the gem, whether through superstition or reality, has had a subtle but constant impact on modern history. When Nadir Shah of Persia invaded Delhi in 1739, he looted the city and took the Koh-i-Noor with him, but for several days, the diamond disappeared. It is said that a nobleman, foreseeing what could happen, hid it in his turban to prevent it from falling into Persian hands. This clever maneuver almost worked, but in the end, Nadir Shah discovered the trick, and the diamond became part of his treasure. What has fascinated many throughout history is the inexplicable attraction of the Koh-i-Noor. Emperors and sultans have risked their lives and kingdoms to possess it, fully aware of the risks associated. Despite the warnings about the curse, its brilliance and symbolism were too tempting. What did this diamond have that made it so irresistible? This mystery remains unanswered, further fueling its legend. Historians have debated for centuries the true value of the Koh-i-Noor, suggesting that its importance goes beyond the material. In many ancient cultures, gems were not only seen as objects of value, but as vessels of divine or magical powers. In this sense, the Koh-i-Noor was not just a beautiful jewel, but a source of power that could change the course of history. It is also believed that the Koh-i-Noor is linked to ancient religious rituals in India, which endowed it with mystical power. Some myths claim that the diamond was stolen from a sacred temple, thus triggering the curse that has followed its owners for centuries. This sacred background makes it one of the most revered and feared gems at the same time. During the British colonization of India, the Koh-i-Noor was one of the most coveted trophies. The British saw the diamond not only as a jewel of incalculable value, but as a symbol of their dominance over the Indian subcontinent. However, the curse seemed not to distinguish between colonizers and the colonized, affecting all alike. Lord Dalhousie, who oversaw the handover of the Koh-i-Noor to Queen Victoria, suffered a series of personal tragedies shortly after his arrival in England. He lost his wife and children, and his career plummeted into ruin. Although no official connection was made, many saw these events as further proof of the dark power of the Koh-i-Noor. In 1851, during the Great Exhibition in London, the Koh-i-Noor was presented to the public. However, what should have been a glorious event turned into a disappointment. The spotlight failed to make the diamond shine as expected, leading some to think that something supernatural was at play. The disappointment with the Koh-i-Noor's appearance led royal jewelers to recut the diamond in an attempt to enhance its brilliance. This process significantly reduced its size from 186 carats to 105.6 carats. Despite the effort, the recut was seen by many as a tragic mistake. Some even suggested that the act of recutting the diamond could have unleashed new misfortunes for those who owned it. Ancient texts indicate that the Koh-i-Noor's original size was much larger than it is believed to be today. According to some documents, the diamond lost much of its splendor after being recut in London. How many carats were lost? No one knows for sure, which adds another layer of mystery to the already extensive history of the gem. Despite being one of the world's most famous jewels, Queen Victoria, though she owned the Koh-i-Noor, never wore it as part of her personal jewelry. She seemed to avoid wearing it, as if even she feared the curse that accompanied it. Instead, it was reserved for ceremonial crowns, used only in specific events and with extreme caution. Over time, the Koh-i-Noor became the object of international disputes. India, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan have claimed its return on numerous occasions. Each country has its own version of the story of how the gem was lost, and all agree that it should be returned to its place of origin. But so far, the British have stood firm. Despite demands for its return, the British have argued that the Koh-i-Noor was legally handed over as part of the Treaty of Lahore in 1849. However, many historians dispute the validity of this agreement, arguing that it was an act of coercion. British resistance to returning the gem has only fueled the mystery surrounding its possession. During World War II, the Koh-i-Noor was moved to a secret location in northern England, along with other crown jewels, to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. It is said that, due to its curse, additional precautions were taken to protect not only the gem, but also those near it. Although these details were never confirmed, the legend persists. A curious and mysterious detail is that, while the men who wore the Koh-i-Noor suffered tragedies, the royal women who wore it did not experience the same fate. Queens Victoria, Alexandra, and the Queen Mother wore the jewel in their crowns, but they lived long and relatively peaceful lives. Could it be that the curse only affects men? The answer remains an enigma. Some theories suggest that the Koh-i-Noor was consecrated in ancient religious rituals that forbade men from wearing it. According to these beliefs, only women, especially queens, could wear it without consequences. This hypothesis, although unproven, has been the subject of speculation for centuries and remains part of the myth surrounding the jewel. The documents about the Koh-i-Noor's history in its early centuries are scarce and fragmented. This has led to much speculation about its true origin and the circumstances under which it was discovered. Some believe that these missing records were intentionally destroyed to hide the gem's true nature and possible powers. Throughout its history, the Koh-i-Noor has been the subject of numerous investigations and political conspiracies. In the 19th century, some rumors suggested that the British had not obtained the gem as legally as they claimed. In fact, certain texts assert that it was secretly stolen and that its handover was little more than a covert act of force. Over the years, researchers and journalists have tried to gain access to classified documents about the Koh-i-Noor's acquisition by the British. However, many of these files have remained sealed, sparking speculation about the true story of how the diamond ended up in England. Gemologists have pointed out that despite its current size, the Koh-i-Noor is not as impressive as other gems of its category. However, its history and the mysteries surrounding it have elevated its value to unparalleled levels. It is as if the legend itself, more than the stone, is what truly makes it invaluable. The misfortunes linked to the Koh-i-Noor seem endless. However, what is surprising is that none of these tragedies have physically affected the diamond. Over centuries of conflicts, wars, and betrayals, the gem has remained intact, as if its fate were supernaturally sealed, resisting any physical damage. The legends about the Koh-i-Noor also include tales of failed attempts to destroy it. According to some texts, over the centuries, there were several attempts to break or cut the gem, but it always came out unscathed. This detail has further fueled the theories about its powers and the origin of its curse. Today, the Koh-i-Noor remains a symbol of both power and curse. It is kept in the Tower of London under strict surveillance. It is only used on very specific ceremonial occasions, and many believe that this precaution is not just for its material value, but because there is still fear of what could happen if someone were to break the unwritten rules surrounding the diamond. The story of the Koh-i-Noor teaches us that power and ambition can lead to ruin. Although it is just a jewel, the mysteries and tragedies surrounding the Koh-i-Noor invite us to reflect on whether, sometimes, the most valuable things can also be the most dangerous.